decimals, division. So method to divide with numbers with decimals. So we're going to move the decimal in the divisor. Now what's the divisor? Let's go over that. Well, the divisor is the number that goes right here. Then what goes inside our division sign or symbol is our dividend. So if our divisor has a decimal, we're going to move the decimal, so it no longer has one. Step 2 will be to move the decimal in the dividend the same number of decimal places as the divisor. And then next we're going to divide. So we only do the first 2 steps if there's a decimal in the divisor. So if there is no decimal in the divisor, we're just going to divide. So that's really important to note. So we only do steps 1 and 2 if there is a decimal in the divisor, which is this front number. So let's go ahead and look at an example. Example 1. The price for 1 liquid IV is $1.99. The price for a pack of 30 is $24.99. What is the price of 1 in the pack of 30? So we're going to kind of compare the unit price in a pack compared to just an individual one. So if we have $24.99, we need to divide that by 30 to get the price for each one. So we put 24.99 in our division sign or symbol. Then we put 30 out in front, which is our divisor. So divisor, dividend. Now we're going to go ahead and just divide, because we don't have actually a decimal in our divisor, so we don't need to do steps 1 and 2. So our first thing we're going to do is go 30 into, well, it can't go into 2 because 2 is much smaller. It can't go into 24 because 24 is smaller than 30, so we need to look at the first 3. So 30 can go into 249 how many times? Well, let's go ahead and look at 30 times 8. 0 times 8 is 0. 8 times 3 is 24. Well, that's really close to 249. Now, I kind of knew that 3 times 8 is 24. Then we just have a 0, so we just have 30 times 8 is 240. So that was kind of an estimate that I did in my head. Then we can put the 8 above the 9. We put 240 below. We subtract 9 minus 0 is 9. 4 minus 4 is 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. So we're left with 9. We're going to go ahead and bring down another 9. Now 30 can go into 99 how many times? Well, 30 times 3, because 3 times 3 is 9. So 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 3 is 9. So we get really close. So we're going to go ahead and put a 3 above the 9. Then we put the 90 below, because 30 times 3 is 90. 9 minus 0 is 9. 9 minus 9 is 0. Now we need to keep adding some zeros because we still have a remainder here. So we're going to add a 0 because it doesn't change the number and bring it down. Now we have 90. Well, 30 can go into 90, as we saw 3 times. So 30 times 3 is 90. We go ahead and subtract. 90 minus 90 is 0. So we're done. Now all we need to do is bring the decimal up, and then we're completely done. So we were done dividing, but now we just need to bring the decimal up, and then we have found our unit price for 1 in our pack of 30, which is 0.833. But because this is money, we're just going to round to the nearest hundredth. So it is 83 cents. So we rounded to right, we rounded to nearest hundredth because it is money. So we can see it is much cheaper to get in a pack of 30 as it's only 83 cents rather than $1.99. So let's do another example. Example 2. Solve for the following. We have 3.9 divided by 1.5. So our 3.9 goes inside our division symbol as it's our dividend, and then our divisor is 1.5. Now, we need to move the decimal because we have a decimal in the divisor. So we go ahead and move it to right there, which means we move it over 1, so we need to move the decimal to over 1 as well, so to the right of the 9 now. And now we have 15 going into 39. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. 15 goes into 39. So we can kind of see it better. So 15 can go into 39 how many times? Well, 15 can't go into 30, but it can go into 39 2 times because 15 times 2 is 30. We go ahead and subtract. 9 minus 0 is 9. 3 minus 3 is 0. Now we need to add decimal and a 0. But then we're just going to go ahead and bring down that 0. Now 15 can go into 90 how many times? Well, 15 can go into 32 times. Then let's look at 15 times 6. So 5 times 6 is 30, so you carry the 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. So that's 90. So 15 go to 96 times. We kind of had an estimate because 15 times 2 is 30, and 30 times 3 is 90. So 2 times 3 is 6. So that's why I did this to check. So 15 times 6 is 90. We go ahead and subtract. 90 minus 90 is 0. Then we need to bring the decimal straight up, and we get 2.6 as our answer. So 3.9 divided by 1.5 is 2.6. Let's do another example. Example 3. Solve for the following. We have 2.1 divided by 0.7. Well, let's go ahead and go 2.1 divided by 0.7. Now we move the decimal over to the right of the 7 because we can't have a decimal in the divisor. Then whatever we do, we have to move it in the dividend. So we move it over 1, 2 there. So now we have 7 goes into 21 how many times? Well, 7 can go into 21 3 times because 7 times 3 is 21. We go ahead and subtract. 21 minus 21 is 0. So 3 is our answer for this one. Now let's do another example. Example 4. Solve for the following. 21.6 divided by 1.8. Well, we have 1.8 as our divisor going into 21.6. Well, we can't have this decimal, so we're going to go ahead and move it over 1, which means we have to move it in the dividend over 1. So now we've done steps 1 and 2, now we can divide. So let's go ahead and just rewrite it, as 18 can go into 216 now. Well, 18 can't go into 2, but it can go into 21 one time, because 18 times 1 is 18. We go ahead and subtract. 21 minus 18, well, that's 3. If you aren't quite sure, if you can't think 21 minus 18, we can go ahead and do it the long way, because we need to borrow, so we get a 1 here. Now we have 11. 11 minus 8 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. So now we have 3. Now we need to go ahead and bring down the 6. Well, 18 can go into 36 how many times? Well, it can go into it 2 times, because 18 times 2 is 36. If you aren't sure, we can always go ahead and multiply. 18 times 2. So 8 times 2 is 16, carry the 1. 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Now another way you can kind of think about this is 18 is really close to 20. So 20 times 2 is 40, but we need to go ahead and subtract 2 twice because it's only 18. Then we get 36. So that's another way people kind of think about it. So 18 times 2 is 36. We go ahead and subtract and we get 0. So 21.6 divided by 1.8 is equal to 12. Because we don't need to bring the decimal up because it's right here, which would just go right there.